Yes, same great taste. Same great taste.
Welcome to the A-Train Show. And now here's your host, the A-Train, Arlington Lane.
Welcome to this edition of the A-Train Show, the A-Train Arlington Lane. It's our primetime special. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Sorry about the delay, folks. You know, when you get called in at the last minute to help out and do some things, you got to make sure that you do so. So I had to do that. And yeah, so I jumped in for just a second. You know, if you were seeing the 18, you will see that on next week. They'll be back right here on Fuel Sports Network. Make sure that you go and grab the app from see, that's what happened when you in a rush and you have to get back in and stuff, that you kind of forget things. But I would make sure you go get it's on your Roku TV and on your Amazon Fire Stick. I had to give me a nice little fresh cut for today, so I can look nice for today and at least till Friday when we do the show again at noon. And I have a great special guest. I can't say right now, but if you're in the St. Louis market, you will enjoy my special guest. Okay, that's all I can say for my St. Louis folks. So you definitely want to tune in, and you'll pretty much enjoy who I'll have on the show for the day. Thankful to our sponsors at Just Meat Jerky and also at W Energy Powder. We're always broadcasting from the Fuel Studios. So tonight is Wrasslin Wednesday. But before I get into Wrasslin Wednesday, I gotta say this before we get started. You can always chime in on the comments that is there for you. Make sure you put your whatever you got to say out there, and then if it's good enough, I'll put it up on the show. Before we get to Wrasslin Wednesday, though, got to talk a little bit about the NBA. Yesterday, of course, with the whole ordeal with the Timberwolves, and not yesterday, but the day before it, Monday, it was the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. One of the biggest problems that I have with that second game was the fact that Jamal Murray was not suspended for game 3. The reason why I say Jamal Murray should be suspended for game 3 is that you threw an object onto the court, and that object could have hurt somebody. I don't care if it was a heat pack. It was thrown onto the court, and somebody could have stepped on it, could have tweaked it, could have tweaked their ankle. Anything could have happened. And that was dangerous. And they only slapped him with a $100,000 fine. That means they know they need Jamal Murray in this series for this series to go someplace. Now, he should have a game to think about what his actions, because this wasn't the first object that I was told that he was thrown. So, and still, you should not throw objects on the court, no matter how upset that you are. And Mike Malone didn't get fined or anything. He should have at least got tossed. That he walked on the, I get it. It was a timeout, I guess, that he called, but it didn't seem like it because he just walked right onto the court and got in the ref's face. But nonetheless, here we are. That's the one thing I wanted to touch on. Everybody else, shout out to those that did get wins. I think it was all the home teams yesterday. So, all right. But like I said, this is Wrasslin Wednesday. I wanted to get that out. Okay. I promise you that's all it was. Everything else is about to be nothing but wrestling here on the show. If guests decide they want to come in and chime in on it, let me know. Hey, I'm gonna put the link out. If you want to get in on the conversation, here it is. Boom. And then coming up after the show, after this show, I'll have got the X-Fan show / B-Hawk Live. We're doing them all together at one time. So myself, Jersey the King will be joining me, and Eddie P is what I call him. We'll get you together for wrapping up week 7 and get you ready for week 7 and wrap up everything in week 6. All right. But until then, I got you until the 8 o'clock hour. All right. For those that have been watching WWE as of late, things have gotten a lot better with WWE. right? So we've just had Backlash that was this past Saturday, right? And we saw, I think, 3 championship matches. Oh, 4 championship matches. Good grief. They had a lot going on. They had 5 matches just for a 2-3 hour show. And of course, the bloodline, which is probably the best storyline right now in the game, in all of wrestling. That's probably the best storyline right now as we speak. And they went up against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. It's only interesting enough where with that match, seeing Loa come out to the ring, Tangaloa come out to the ring and cost Kevin Owens and Randy Orton the match. I think what's cool about this particular storyline here is that they're bringing in more Samoans to build this story. And the Usos are completely out. At least that's what we know right now. Jimmy Uso is sitting out. Jay, of course, he had his championship match against Damian Priest and took an L, but also he's getting himself prepared for King and Queen of the Ring, which he could be a winner of. He could be a winner of, and that could be a good thing. So, I mean, I'm looking at it right now as got a chance to check out a little bit of Monday Night Raw. Just the parts I really needed to see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now, how they utilize Jay Uso going in 2024, as we continue in 2024. He's done well as a singles guy. It's going to be the time now for him to get a singles title, whether that could be the Intercontinental Championship, whether that could be the World Heavyweight title, or even the ones on the opposite show, because they switch up all the time. They switch up the belts all the time. So, is this the year that he finally gets a singles title? That's what's going to be the key here, and I would love to see him do it, but they're going to make him work for it, in my opinion. He's going to continuously have matches. I get it. The whole thing, the Yeet movement is everything. Shout out to those that's in France, and they turned up for his. That's a crowd that no American crowd can top. I'll say it again. That Backlash crowd, the France crowd, has been better than any American crowd yet. Nobody can top that because they moved. It looked like they moved differently. They moved really, really differently. And yeah, you know what? I'm a fan of that. I am a huge fan, and I'm a proponent of it. It definitely showcases that now in this new era, as WWE is being referred to now, I like to call it the Triple H era or the Paul era, however you want to use it as such. This new era that more international crowds are being used. I mean, they go international all the time, but it's like ever since Triple H took over, like the production of the show, it just seems like it's a whole lot better than it has been in the past. A whole lot better. And I get it. You're going to have some matches that's not going to look good and that needs some fine tuning. And okay, I know a lot of people that are AEW fans are going to be ragging on WWE, especially one Jade Cargill, who was a former AEW superstar. So even in her match, there was a lot of botches and stuff. I'm gonna get to that in a little bit, but right now the crowds and the matches themselves, they meshed well together. Like I said, seeing the bloodline and what they're doing, how they continuously and growing this group that we're seeing right now, and that Solo has taken upon himself as the leader now that Roman Reigns is taking a much well-deserved break. One of the biggest photos that I had seen that was circulating on the internet was when Cody Rhodes was pinning him at WrestleMania, was the look of relief and a smile. I'm gonna have to show that at some point, probably not tonight, but I will show it. And just out of being funny, you can see the look of relief off his face that it's finally over and that was ending, and that he could take the well-deserved break, as he had WWE on his back for 3.5 years. 3.5 years. Okay. So yeah, that lets you know right there that he's a top superstar. And the way they changed everything, because remember, for years Roman Reigns they had threw him down our throats, and the way that Vince was pushing him, and they were trying to have like, dude, you need to cheer for Roman Reigns, and just this baby face that he was, and nobody was feeling it at all. And then when he went beat Undertaker and said, "This is my yard," it just made things, and in their eyes, in fans' eyes, it made things worse. But it wasn't until the COVID situation, when he got the belt off of Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, won the World Heavyweight Championship, and that whole heel persona that he took propelled him to where he is now. And he got a well-deserved break. And I know it took time. I know, a lot of people like, well, he's still taking time during that period and stuff. Yes, but that's because of sickness. But now he gets an actual rest on his body where he can recover and hopefully get back. And when he does come back, how they will utilize him within that bloodline story. Will he turn babyface again? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that storyline. I've been intrigued, and like I said, Solo has been taking the leadership, and Paul Heyman has been playing the character of, I had to follow the young man, even though Roman Reigns had already stated that Solo was going to be the guy, especially after what happened with the Usos not being a part of the ride anymore. Yes, WWE definitely wants to have on their big papers in definite countries. That it is great to see. It definitely is great seeing that. And they're in arenas. They're not in the only big arena in this case would be Saudi Arabia. When they go out there, they can get that type of pay-per-view where it's WrestleMania like, and that's what's coming up for them with this King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view that they're about to embark on in Saudi Arabia. One thing that I remember seeing was this deal with WrestleMania going to Vegas. Cool. I love that. Shout out to Vegas. They did well with SummerSlam out there in Vegas, and to have the grandest stage out there in Vegas is going to be awesome. But the dates is what got me. So you pushing now your stuff back 2 weeks. So something tells me there's something brewing between Rumble and Mania. Like, you had to, was those the only 2 dates that were available in Vegas that, they could get WrestleMania out there the third week of April? That's so un-WrestleMania like to me. That is so un-WrestleMania like. We'll touch a little bit about that in detail as we continue on with the A Train show. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick break, and I come right back. We're gonna talk a bit more about some of the champions in WWE and what that means for them going into the future, especially the American Nightmare himself, Cody Rhodes. Okay, so stay tuned. We'll be back with more of the A Train show's Primetime special right after this. Back on this edition of the A Train Show, the A Train, Arlington Lane. Woo-wee. Hey, folks, make sure that you tune in tonight. We got more great programming coming up on the network. Of course, the X-Fan Show and B-Hawk Live, come together for a good show coming up at 8 o'clock. And then right after that, Girl Chat Sports is going to be on Fuel Sports Network. If you haven't gotten the app yet, you need to go and do so. Go and get your Roku. You got your Roku TVs. You can go to the app. You can go and search it. You can find it right there when you search Fuel Sports Network, and you can get our wonderful programming anytime you want. Shows on demand. Got a bunch of them. Got great sports content coming. More of it coming in the future. So I'm grateful to see that this network is constantly growing each and every single day, and grateful for all of the talent that, have chosen to be a part of this venture. And I'm telling you, your work is not in vain. I promise you that. All right. So let's get into it. This time with the champions of WWE, especially from Backlash. Bayley retaining her title with Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. One thing I will say about Tiffany Stratton is that deal. She is that girl. All right. And at some point, she's going to get a major singles title. I don't know how soon it's going to be, but she has the it factor, especially when she was over in NXT and she had the women's championship over there. I mean, goodness gracious. Like, I love her and what she is able to do, her athleticism, her ability, her in-ring ability is amazing. And I know y'all look, her on the mic may sound annoying to you. It's actually perfect. That is what a character should be built like. And the more I look at this women's movement, they're actually when it's been about 10 years now since they did 8 years or so since they did the Evolution pay-per-view. And because they did that, you saw how women's wrestling had changed. And for so long, they had it where it was just TNA. You don't know what TNA is? I'm going to need you to look it up. It was always about that, which was good for the eyesight, but they wasn't providing anything to the table other than just that. All right. So now that they are more athletic and they're looking beautiful, like that is a dangerous combination when you got beauty and athleticism and you're able to go out week by week and able to perform at a high level. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's why I'm fans of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill winning the tags. I'm a fan of that. Just now, when they have their championship title defenses, let's make sure that these ladies are getting more polished out there in the ring. There was some moments in that tag team match they had against the Kabuki Warriors where it looked really awful. But I think that these two ladies can really polish up their skills to the point where they are going to be champions that's going to be dominant for a while. And I hope they're able to clean up. I don't want 6 months with them. Now that they got the belts here in May, let's get it all the way up to at least Mania. Okay. Or if there's somebody that's hot, unfortunately, if somebody comes hot off the rip, then you can add a different tag champs. But I would love to see them together for a while. It's going to come to a point where it's going to be like, who's going to turn on who? Okay. You already know. You already have this feeling and this notion that they're going to turn on one another. Somebody's going to turn on one another. And if I were a writer in the room for WWE, I would make Bianca Belair turn on Jade Cargill. If you look at it, Jade Cargill, when she's like, I'm the one, I'm the best and stuff, and Bianca, and I guess how I'm looking at it is Bianca being overshadowed by another female. I don't trust me. Listen, y'all, I don't want to see that happen. But knowing how WWE is, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. It's going to be a heel turn unlike any other. And it's going to shock Naomi. It's going to shock Jade. You know what? I would too. I would, but what team I would like to see from NXT? Is it the group from the Meta Four? Is it the is it the group from the Meta Four? Because don't get me wrong, I love Lash Legend, man. Like ever since she got in, she's rising. Her star is rising. She, had to go through the NXT level up and stuff like that, but now she's been on the I would love to see that matchup too. I just don't want to see a lot of botches in it. You know what I mean? Come on. Because they're still working at it. They're still crafting. They're still, they're crafting their abilities in WWE constantly. Ever since Jay Cargill had came over to WWE, it's like the stock in WWE has risen tremendously. And I don't know. I just find it truly amazing how her not being in matches at the time when she first got there has elevated her personality and stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's been an elevation of sorts, but she keeps popping up and people were built with anticipation, a lot of anticipation. And then when she showed up at the Rumble, oh my goodness. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. France did move Jade. Yeah, they really did. And that's, yeah, they loved her. Yeah, they did love her. That's what I'm talking about. And like she has risen all the way up to the top, and she's only had two. She hasn't had a solo match, a pay-per-view solo match yet. She's been in tag matches, and I think she's done a lot of I like to call them throwaways. They quick matches. And so, you had to build up her character and build up her strengths. And she's a beautiful, beautiful woman too. Like, I know it can seem like I'm gushing over her and stuff, and it's whatever. But that's where WWE needed to go with this division, with this women's division. They had to be beautiful and they had to be athletic, and trained well and properly, where they can keep people focused on their wrestling more than their beauty. Beauty is always a plus, but it's not the overall thing. It's about the wrestling itself. And WWE has done a pretty good job with maintaining that type of ability. And I've said this on numerous shows and stuff before. It's just mind-boggling to me that D-Generation X are the two people, the leaders of D-Generation X, is what has propelled WWE to where they are right now. It's amazing to me. And they're constantly looking to topping each pay-per-view that they try to do. They want to make it better. And of course, now with this whole thing with Raw going to Netflix, because if you don't have Netflix, they've been putting out more live programming. So it's just interesting how streaming has really taken over in these last 10 years or so. Um, especially now with live events. It's just more amazing to me the more I see it. You know, you got football that's getting involved. Of course, wrestling was doing it for the last 10 years. When you know, the WWE network before they went to Peacock. And this is just amazing to me. Like seriously, I can't help it. This is phenomenal stuff here. Um, but for Jade Cargill, man, like right now, this is the best time for her to be right now in WWE, and I really want to see how they push her now that she's champion, or a champion in this case, of being a tag team champion. And I'm glad that the right person to do it with her was Bianca Belair. Damian Priest. Got to mention about Damian Priest as being champion. It's good for Raw because it gives Seth Rollins a break. Shout out to Seth Rollins if you didn't get a chance to see him at the Kentucky Derby. I think he got a fresh cut just like me. I think he cut all his hair off because he looked really different, and I don't have the pics to prove it. But he looked nice. I mean, he looked really nice. Him and Becky, the crazy hat that she had. Becky as champion, I think it's going to be short lived. But Damian Priest, it's going to get to a place where Damian and Finn Balor are going to have to fight for that title. Like Judgment Day is going to have to break up. I really see that happening. But the question is going to be where it's going to go down. Because Jey Uso getting that World Heavyweight Championship opportunity was cool, but I don't think he's there yet for that type of title. He's more Intercontinental, U.S. title, that type of thing. I think he'll get Logan. I think a lot of people will want to see him against Logan Paul before they want to see him against Sami Zayn. And the only reason I use those names because those are the current champions. Okay, so I think it'll be a much better match for the both of them. And seeing him on a lesser singles title would be better for him. That way we can see what he looks like, how he moves, you know, and of course the Yeet movement has been hot, so that'll remain. But with him with a majors, with a singles title, got to see how he maneuvers and how he becomes with that. But back over to Damian Priest. At some point, Damian is going to have to. He did it yesterday, where he apologized to Judgment Day, and when you looked at Backlash, and he was upset. I wish they would have stayed with that, but you have to lengthen the story, right? You have to expand the story. It's going to get to a place where Damian's going to be so upset that it's going to look like he's ready to turn on his own mates. And they're going to get tired of it, and they're going to attack him, and he's going to turn into a baby face. Now, I've seen some stuff about him turning babyface again, like he was when he was the U.S. champ. I want to see that again. I want to see what he'd be like as a babyface with the title. And for that to happen, he would have to remove himself from Judgment Day, or he would have to lose the title and go on some epic rant or whatever, you know, and he wound up getting attacked, kind of like how Edge got attacked before they kicked him out of Judgment Day. Because there's no Rhea Ripley, and Damian Priest has been more of a mouthpiece than Finn Balor, which I thought was the leader of that group. I seriously thought that he was the leader of the group. JD McDonough kind of had been pushed in, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, because he never really had he just wanted to be next to his buddy Finn Balor. And so they just let him be in it. And for a time with Judgment Day, it got really comical. And people, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad having R-Truth infiltrate into Judgment Day, because it had its little sprinkles of what Sami Zayn did to the Bloodline, right? And it had its comedic moments. And I know a lot of people look at R-Truth like, why are you doing this, man? R-Truth at 52 liked to work. And I remember a comment, and I think it's similar to what Bobby Lashley had said one time on the Stone Cold podcast. I will do whatever you need me to do when you ask of me. Something up to that nature. That's not verbatim. But basically he was saying, I'll do what you need me to do. And that's what R-Truth has done. And then for as long as he's been with WWE, to have his first real championship, come on now. Y'all already know that 24/7 title was fake. He might as well have had Zack Ryder's internet championship or whatever he had at the time. But for him to actually have they gave him a WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 40. That was pretty prolific. That was great for him and his career, because that man is still athletic and in his 50s. I mean, he in his 50s and he can still get down with the best of them. So that's just amazing to me that he's able to do that at a high level at such a older age. But back to Judgment Day is it was, but it took a long time for him to get that belt back, or he never got that belt back. Never really got a good chance to do it. Yeah, it was definitely amazing to see. But I guess I'll look at it as he's got a chance to have an actual run this time. And that's the kind of stuff I like, when WWE does stuff right at the right time for them. But back to Damian Priest, I really see at this point that he has to break himself away from Judgment Day at some point. The question is going to be when, though. That's the problem I got. That is a huge problem for me. I know a lot of people want to see Judgment Day continue to go on, and I think they will. It's just that I don't know. I'm thrown at the moment. I can't put my finger on it. All right, so we're gonna take a final timeout, and then coming up after the break. And his championship road, and now that he has the title, what that means, and why certain people believe that he's going to be nowhere near than what he got this run for 2 years, leading up to the title. All right, so stay tuned. Got more of my favorite, the A-Train Show, right after this. Stay tuned. We're back with the A Train show. A Train Arlington Lane. Thankful to our sponsors at Just Meat Jerky and W Energy Powder, and all the great shows that we got coming up here on Fuel Sports Network. Coming up after this show is the X Fan Show and B Hawk Live. They'll be put together. I'll be on that program. Plus, and the Jersey the King will be joining me from the Gridiron, and Eddie P from the Bottom Line. We'll touch on everything going on for week 7 in the UFL, and then recap everything from week 6. All right. I told you a little bit that about Cody Rhodes and him having the championship and what that future could look like for him. And that'll close out the show today. He had his match against AJ Styles, and it was a pretty good match. It's gonna be really hard, in my opinion, to top what he had to go through the last couple of years, meaning the last couple of Manias. He won the Rumble twice in back-to-back years. That's pretty interesting. And then he was in the championship, WWE Undisputed Championship in back-to-back years, and this time he actually got it. I never really talked about it publicly, but I thought it was an issue at the end of Mania 40 that they gave him the mic and just let him go, say whatever he wanted because he won the title. And he thanked everyone, which, okay, I understand that, but they gave him so much time. I was like, was that really necessary? But Cody Rhodes is right now the biggest star in WWE. You know, everybody, no matter where he goes, he's getting that type of love. He's getting those type of pops. And like when they had the France crowd, especially on SmackDown, when him and AJ Styles had the face-to-face confrontation and how they were moving, that was amazing to me. He is literally a worldwide superstar that bet on himself. Don't give a lot of credit to him, but him helping establish AEW and then leaving AEW to go back to WWE and then be the top star in WWE is just amazing to me. I don't think I've ever seen a run like that. Like, not even Hogan had that type of pull that you were able to go. You were in one, but you started not so great. I think he had a tag team titles and stuff, and I think he may have won the Intercontinental Championship at some point, and then go start another promotion, right? Or be a part of that promotion. At least that's what it looks like on Wax. That he didn't start it, but he helped really propelled it. You know, he had the All In pay-per-view, the very first one back in 2018, and that was a success, which led to the formation of AEW. Right then, there for 2-3 years, got that thing off the ground like it was, and then jumped back to the WWE. It's like, come on, man. But as for his future, like, are there any real opponents that could challenge him for his title since he's on SmackDown? Like, I can see Braun Breaker getting a match against him. Carmelo Hayes. I know he's faced him on SmackDown and stuff. But you got these younger guys on this roster, and I'm like, is it going to really propel like it has in the past? And I think that's the scary part of where we're at now with him. Um, who's going to be a major challenger for that title? Randy Orton, Kevin Owens? Is LA Knight going to be back into the mix again? Right? Could we see an Austin Theory? Could we see a Grayson Waller? Could we see Logan Paul? Could we see Solo Sikoa? He said, does Tony Khan have unlimited pockets with his dad? I think that's his dad's pockets the most, Shahid Khan, when it comes to that. Who's going to be like the next opponent, big opponent for Cody Rhodes, where it can have similar magnitude of matches that he's had in the past? That's what's going to be the key here. Like I don't know. And I get it. Cody's the biggest star. You can't get Brock Lesnar back. That ain't happening. That ship has now sailed. I'm floored. I'm floored by that. Like, I want to see who could really be that guy. Bobby Lashley, maybe. That's right. Braun Breaker went back to Raw. So you can forget that idea. Baron Corbin. Like, if you really look at that roster right now, I don't see who could really give him. Solo Sikoa would be one of them. But do you save that for SummerSlam, or do you go ahead and jump the gun and go early on it? What do you do? That's the $1 million question. Who can provide the best match for Cody Rhodes? Because Cody's got to have a long run with this belt. He got to have a long run. You can't give him no 6 months after he done dealt with 2 years of this mess. The only way, heaven forbid, that it doesn't work out that way is if he gets hurt. And he's dealt with a ton of pain in these last 2 years, even when he had the matches against Seth Rollins, because Seth put him over greatly, and did it again at WrestleMania by using himself as a sacrifice. And I think we're going to be on that type of, you have to have it on that type of level. And I think SummerSlam is in Cleveland this year. And they at Cleveland Browns Stadium. So that it goes to, without asking, where do they go from here? I have talked to different people about that, and each one of them feel like, I don't think WWE can do anything anymore. You know what? If he was on SmackDown, it would be. If he was on SmackDown, I definitely believe that would be the case. But like, I'm just hoping that Cody's title run is good. And AJ Styles being the first one of the group. Okay. So now how do you top that? Because as long as we are here, we can all sit here and say that nothing probably will top his match against Roman Reigns. Nothing. And even though the cameos and stuff, kind of watered it down just a little bit. But remember, they said it was going to be bloodline rules. I don't see, and that's the thing, I don't know. Can those two have a great match? Can they do, if I get diabolical Randy Orton, then maybe. if I get the old Randy Orton where he was punting and stuff like that, and he heard the voices in his head, then maybe. And you got another story that's coming from that. Because remember, I'm glad you brought that up, Will. Remember Legacy. Legacy was the heel faction, right? And there's a story that can be told, but Randy Orton has to be the heel in this case. It can't be any different. Can't be any different. But if it is Randy Orton, like I said, it got to be heel Orton. All right, this was a I had to get it as a short show today because some stuff happened, but I wanted to make sure I got everything off. Hey, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the A Train Show Primetime Special. I'm about to get ready for the next program, being the X Fan Show, and we're gonna talk some UFL over there. Thankful to our sponsors over at W Energy Powder and Just Meat Jerky. So appreciate you guys for that. And Friday, back at the normal time slot, noon, 1 p.m. in the East. I have a special guest for you for that show. And then it's Fan Friday. So I'm gonna let you guys bring your sports topics to the table, and you can discuss what you would like for me to talk about. Don't go too much. I want NBA. I ain't talking NHL. NFL, we'll talk if you want to, and Major League Baseball. We'll probably do some baseball for sure on Friday. Okay, and we'll definitely our special guest, I give him some things to talk about, especially in St. Louis. All right. Talk live, and then at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the East, it's Girl Chat Sports. So for just a little while, I'll see y'all on Friday. Well, you know what? Actually, I'll see you in just a little bit, and then I'll see you on Friday. All right. Signing off. This is the A Train Show right here on Fuel Sports Network.